It's part of our process to evolve how we design, develop, and deliver learning so that it can be more tailored and relevant to the individual. We are employing the use of various different technology platforms that allow us to employ greater immersive learning experiences, allow us to employ adaptive techniques. And in that process, not only are we able to then deliver more tailored and relevant learning experiences, we gather data, skills-based data on our professionals, which then enables us as a learning and development function to assess where do we need to focus? What should we do more of? What should we do less of to enable the business opportunities? And so we're trying to design this whole engine that to me really delivers what I call precision development at scale. For me, immersive learning is more effective because today, with the technology that surrounds it, we can mimic reality. We can make the experience more real than we've ever been able to do that. And we know that particularly on human skills, if you're going to focus there, there's a dynamic that when someone is trying to learn some of those human skills, they need to be able to practice. They need to be able to feel, they're in a safe place to effectively practice that and try different techniques and see what happens when I do this, what happens when I do this, what happens when I do that. And in immersive spaces with adaptive techniques, we can actually now do that. They're going to be more engaged. They're going to pay better attention, and we're going to get better learning outcomes. And so to create immersive learning experiences, to me, leads to better learning outcomes. If we have better learning outcomes, we're going to have better organizational performance outcomes. And today, many organizations, including ours at Deloitte, we're moving towards trying to be much more skills-based and skills-focused in how we think of everything. Our historical paradigm has been to think about roles and time in roles and experience gain as proxies for skill attainment. When we think about the need for greater organizational agility, that's a model that doesn't have the same level of agility. If we can move to more skills-based models, it gives us the ability as organizations to be much more agile. But to have a effective skills-based model, you need to be able to say, does an individual have those skills and can they apply those skills? Which means that skill assessment becomes way more important than it ever has been in the past, because we want to be able to decouple skills from roles. We want to be able to say, you have these skills and we need these skills. And so the role of assessments is critically important. And technology now is enabling us through these immersive learning environments to actually be able to assess someone's skills and the human skills in particular in a way that we weren't able to do on a scale basis. And if we can effectively leverage assessments in that, in these immersive learning experiences, we now have a source of data that we never had before as organizations, that we can make various different business decisions that then translate into organizational performance. For me, it's three things that are sort of all coming together at the same time. The first is technology is enabling us within the digital realm to create an more immersive-like experience that more closely simulates reality. And we know that the closer you can get to reality, the greater learning that can happen for an individual. The second piece I think that's causing the evolution is technology now has the ability to do a level of assessment that allows us to then personalize someone's learning journey within that digital, that immersive space. And then the third is building upon that is with the use of AI, we can use that assessment data, we can use the data that as an individual is going through that immersive learning experience to further then personalize that learner experience. So to me, I've been in learning and development for 25 plus years. The holy grail has been about how do we create learning that's tailored and relevant to an individual, and then how do we do that at scale? I frame that up as precision development at scale. And the evolution of digital learning is now giving us the ability to do precision development at scale. A metaphor I often use with many of my leaders is that we're really good at creating buses. And the concept of the bus is that you get on that bus, all the stops, everything's pre-programmed for you. One has to do that bus route, whether you need to go to every single place on that bus route. And that's not the most effective nor efficient use of a professional time. And you add that all up, that's not effective and efficient for organizations. So if we can actually create learning that's more adaptive to an individual, we're going to optimize their seat time. We're going to optimize their experience by focusing them on the skills they need. That's more relevant for them. They're going to be more engaged. They're going to feel like it's more useful. They're going to be able to turn around and apply it. So hopefully the forgetting curve is not as great. And you add that up to all the professionals in the organization, it creates a more efficient use of your organizational resources. So I call that moving from a bus approach to having more bicycle paths and giving people bicycles. And if we do that, not only is it efficient for the organization, it also creates greater organizational agility. We can obtain a lot of value from having skills data on our professionals. We can apply it in multiple different ways. So take Deloitte, professional services firm. The more and better skills data we have, we can assess our population. And then as emerging market trends are happening that we want to capitalize on, we can easily look and say, do we have professionals with the appropriate mix of skills to serve that emerging market opportunity? And if we don't, great. We can then begin to target in the market to go higher, or we can say, how do we develop those skills? So that it impacts how we look at our talent from a talent acquisition standpoint. It impacts how we look at our talent from a deployment standpoint. We deploy our professionals on projects to serve client needs. If we have better skills data, we can do a better job at saying we need professionals with these types of skills in order to do this particular project. We can make better and more rapid choices to assign them to projects. That translates into greater revenue and happier clients because they got the people with the right skills in order to do that. So skills data can be very valuable to help us in multiple different aspects. Say, where do we need to go target for hiring? Where do we need to target some development to rapidly upskill a group of people in order to meet a market need, and or then how to deploy that. That translates into better organizational performance. Our Project 120 is about a $1.4 billion investment to transform what we're doing in learning and development, to be more skills-based, adaptive, and deliver more learning in the flow of work. We're doing that by focusing on 3 pillars in terms of those investments. First is a big focus on technology and developing a rapid skilling and reskilling technology development engine that focuses on the key technology skills that matter in the future of work in a tech-enabled world. The second is to really double down in the area of leadership, particularly around the concept of human potential. We know that professionals today, if we want to enable them to thrive in the future of work, there are some enduring human skills that are critical, and we believe we need to do more of that. And the third then is change how we design, develop, and deliver learning across our entire business. And that's where we want to employ immersive learning type of techniques, where we want to employ the greater use of adaptive techniques and technologies so that we can actually change, so that we give people fewer buses and more bicycle paths and bicycles, so that the learning is tailored and relevant to them as an individual. And the benefit to the individual is they get just what they need when they need it. We're also preparing them to thrive in the future in a tech-driven world. And as an organization, we're creating greater organizational agility because we can more rapidly target and scale our professionals based upon what our clients need. So as we began to think about what is leadership today in today's world, and where is it headed? We know that there's this rapid pace of technology, and we need to equip our professionals to say, how do you lead more effectively in that world? We've got the advent of hybrid as a result of the pandemic in a way that we probably never would have envisioned, and what are the implications for that? And the conclusion we've reached is that at its core, there are some key enduring human capability skills that will enable someone to more effectively be able to pivot across knowledge domains over the course of their career. I'm a surfer, I like to surf. Great surfers can recognize when they're surfing what looks like a beautiful wave and know they can see the signs, something's gonna happen, I'm gonna pull back and catch the next wave. And we need to make professionals in our business more able to pivot and recognize okay, I need to get off this wave and catch the next wave. And we believe that it's key enduring skills that can enable them to achieve their full potential. And it crosses the physical, the psychological, and the emotional domains. And so it's about us focusing on these enduring human capabilities from a holistic person and going bigger on those in a way we never have.